Hi, Kian. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that, this is a safe space and whatever you say in this room stays between us. Um, However, if there is any report of, self-harm or you wanting to harm someone else, or any reports of child abuse or neglect, I would have to bring that information to the authorities. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you made it in today. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge that coming here wasn't entirely your choice. My understanding is that your employer required counseling and participation in a recovery program for you to maintain your employment. Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty much. I wouldn't be sitting here otherwise.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you were willing to come and get support today. Um, I can understand the frustration.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I was pissed. I worked there for 10 years. I've never had problems like this before.
Mhm. That makes sense. So rather than pretending you walked in here excited about counseling, maybe we can start with where you actually are. So what was going through your mind when your employer told you that you needed to come here?
Honestly, yeah, like I said, I was pissed, I've worked there for 10 years. I've never had any problems like this ever before. I've always, gone in there, done good work, and now this.
Mm, yeah. 10 years of being reliable, and now it feels like everything is being judged based on what's happened recently.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I can understand why you're frustrated. At the same time, something has changed recently. What do you think has been different?
Uh, I've just been having a harder time managing my drinking lately.
Mhm. So even though you don't necessarily agree with how you ended up here, you have noticed that alcohol has become harder to manage.
Yeah, I could admit that.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about what harder to manage looks like for you.
Well, I've always drank since I was a teenager. I had a few beers here, a few beers there, never a problem. But lately, it's every day. Sometimes I drink way more than I mean to.
Mhm. When you start drinking, it can become difficult to stop where you intended.
Yeah.
What tends to be happening before you drink more heavily?
Oh, stress, work, thinking too much. Sometimes stuff comes from the military, and lately, my friend,
Mhm. Oh, your friend who died?
yeah, suicide. We served together. Same military regiment, same community. I
Mm.
knew things could happen to us overseas, but some reason this is harder.
Yeah. You were prepared, at least to some extent, for the possibility of losing someone during military service. Losing someone to suicide after coming home has affected you differently.
Yeah, exactly. We knew some of us wouldn't make it home. You always know that going over there. But then you get home and think everybody is supposed to be okay.
And your friend's death challenged that assumption.
Yeah, it sure did.
What happens when those thoughts come up?
Well, usually I drink, it shuts my head up. It quiets the noise.
Mhm. So alcohol has been doing something for you, at least temporarily. It gives you some relief from those thoughts and feelings that are difficult to sit with.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Now, you mentioned that your friend was part of both your military group and your community. It sounds like those connections are important to you.
Yes, very. My family is very close. My military family is very close. I'm involved with the Cherokee Nation. Everybody knows everybody.
Mhm. And when you lost your friend, you weren't just losing one relationship. That loss touched several parts of your life.
I really hadn't thought about it like that.
Mm. What has support looked like since your friend died?
People check in, family is around, people from the community are around, but I don't really talk about it. I kind of just,
Mm. You're surrounded by people, but you've been carrying much of the grief privately.
yeah, I don't want to dump all my problems on everybody else?
Mm. What do you imagine would happen if you did tell someone you were struggling?
Ooh, I don't know. It probably helps. That's what we do.
That sounds important. There's already a tradition in your family and community of people stepping in when someone needs support.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to make assumptions about what your Cherokee identity or military community means to you. Are there any traditions, people, spiritual practices, or community supports that you think could be helpful as you deal with your friend's death?
Yeah, maybe. There are definitely people I could talk to.
Okay. So, one possible resource isn't something I need to introduce into your life. It may already exist within your community.
Yeah.
There's another part of what happened that I want to make sure we talk about. You mentioned that drinking has also affected things with your spouse.
Yeah, I haven't always been great to my spouse. I start fights sometimes. I get angry.
What happened most recently?
Well, we were arguing the other day. I had been drinking. I pushed them against the wall and then towards the door. I think I went a little too far.
You sound uncomfortable even talking about it.
I am. I love my wife. I love my stepkids. I don't want to be that person?
Mhm. There's a difference between how you want to show up in your family and what happened that night.
Yeah.
I also want to be clear that pushing your spouse is serious, regardless of whether alcohol was involved. What concerns you most when you think about that night?
Well, that I could like hurt them or that they'll leave. I don't even know where they are right now.
You're worried about their safety and losing your relationship.
Yeah.
Have there been other times when arguments became physically aggressive?
Well, there have been fights before, mostly yelling, sometimes a little bit of pushing.
Okay. Have you ever threatened your spouse with a weapon or intentionally seriously injured them?
No.
Are there firearms or other weapons in your home?
Uh, yeah, I have a gun. I have my 9 millimeter, but it's in the safe. It's locked up. The bullets are secure. The trigger is off. It would take a few minutes for me to put that together. So,
Okay. Given the drinking, anger, and recent physical aggression, I want us to take safety seriously. If you do notice yourself becoming angry or intoxicated, what could you do to create distance before an argument becomes physical?
well, I could leave, or I could call somebody and go stay with somebody else for the night.
Okay, those sound like realistic options, and we can build on those. Now, because your friend died by suicide, you've been drinking more heavily, and you described feeling depressed and angry at times. I also want to ask you directly about your own safety. Have you had thoughts about killing yourself or wish you were dead?
No, no, I've often wondered what's wrong with me or what's going on in my head, but I don't want to die.
Okay. No thoughts of suicide, but you have been struggling with how you're feeling and questioning why you can't seem to get control of this.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Have you had thoughts about seriously hurting anyone else?
No.
Okay, I appreciate you answering directly. Those are questions I may revisit, especially because grief, alcohol, and major relationship stress can change how someone is feeling.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. If we temporarily take your employer out of the equation, is there anything about your drinking that you would want to change?
Well, I don't really want it controlling everything in my life.
What is it controlling now?
Well, work, my marriage, my mood. I'm drinking every day. I'm getting fatter by the day. It's messing up everything, you
Hmm.
know?
Well, what would you want those areas of your life to look like instead?
I want to go to work like I used to. I want my wife home. I want things normal again.
So keeping your job matters, but there are reasons beyond your employer that make change important to you.
Yeah.
On a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, or let's say 0 to 10, where 0 means you have no interest in changing your drinking, and 10 means you're like completely committed to making a change, where would you put yourself today?
I'd say maybe a six.
Okay. Why a 6 and not like a 3, for example?
Well, because I know I have to do something like right now. I can't keep doing this, what I'm doing. It's just not working for me.
Hmm. That tells me there's already a significant part of you that wants something different.
Yeah.
What would move that 6 to a 7?
Probably knowing that I could actually do it.
All right. Let's look for evidence of that. You said alcohol has been part of your life since you were a teenager, but the daily heavy drinking is more recent. That means there have been periods where alcohol was creating this level of difficulty. What was different then?
Well, I stayed busy, I was working a lot. I had family, I had events for my family, for the military family, stuff within the community. I was just always doing something.
When you were connected, active, and had structure, drinking occupied less space in your life.
Yeah, yeah. I can't do all this stuff and be completely hammered all the time. It just doesn't work for me.
Are there days, even now, when you drink less or feel more in control?
Well, if I have something important going on, usually.
What do you do differently on those days?
I keep myself occupied. I'm around people. I don't sit around thinking about my problems or whatever.
Mm,
I stay
thank you.
busy.
So we already have some clues: structure, connection, meaningful activity, and being around supportive people seem to make a difference.
Yeah, I guess they do.
Suppose you wake up tomorrow and things had begun moving in the direction you wanted. I mean, not magically perfect, just noticeably better. What would be the first small thing you would notice?
Oh, well, I get up and go to work without feeling like crap, first of all.
Hmm. Anything else?
Yeah, I'd probably call my wife and, maybe apologize without turning it into just another fight.
What might your family notice about you?
That I'm just myself again.
We've covered quite a bit today. Let me see if I'm understanding you correctly. You didn't choose counseling voluntarily, and you were angry about being required to come, but at the same time, you recognize that your drinking has increased significantly since your friend's suicide. Alcohol helps quiet some of the grief and stress temporarily, but it is also affecting your work, your mood, and especially your relationship with your spouse. You also identified some things that have helped in the past, like staying connected with family, your military group, and charity community, having structure, and keeping engaged in meaningful activities. Underneath all of this, you've been pretty clear that your family and relationships matter to you. Did I get that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. This week, rather than trying to solve everything at once, what is one change you think is realistic?
Um, I could call someone instead of drinking when I start thinking about my friend.
Who would be someone you could realistically call?
Oh, definitely one of the guys from my regiment.
Okay, that sounds specific and doable. I'd also like us to continue assessing your alcohol use and talk about what reducing or stopping safely would involve. Because you've been drinking daily and sometimes becoming heavily intoxicated, I don't want us to assume that suddenly stopping on your own is medically safe. We can determine whether a medical evaluation is appropriate. I also want us to continue talking about what happened with your spouse. Your grief deserves attention, and so does their safety. Both can be true.
Yeah, I understand.
Before we finish, what are you taking away from today?
Well, I guess I didn't realize how much everything changed after my friend died. I thought I was just drinking too much.
You're beginning to see the drinking as part of a larger picture. That gives us more places to intervene than simply telling you to stop drinking. Next time, I'd like to check in on what happened when the urge to drink came up, whether you were able to reach out to someone and continue exploring what recovery could realistically look like for you.
Yeah, right, I can do that.
Good. We'll start there.
All right, sounds good, Doc.